Hi, everyone.
Hello again. We're in Genesis 18, starting at verse 9, going to 15 in the NIV.
Mm-hmm. Where is your wife Sarah? They asked him. There in the tent, he said. Then the Lord said, I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah your wife will have a son. Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already old and well advanced in years, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, After I am worn out and my master is old, will I now have this pleasure? Then the Lord said to Abraham, Why did Sarah laugh? Why did Sarah laugh and say, Will I really have a child now that I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son. Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, I did not laugh. But he said, Yes, you did laugh.
Very mysterious passage for the rabbis as well as for Jehovah's Witnesses. Who is talking to Abraham here? Well, you have three men mentioned at the beginning of the chapter, but now one of them is talking to her as God.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do the rabbis do with this? Well, Rashi, we pointed out in the video, in the last segment, tries to make it into three angels, one of whom is talking for Jehovah, Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what the text says. So the rationalizations that we would use as witnesses are very similar, i.e., no, it can't be, because we have one verse that kind of decides the issue for us, which is in the Gospel of John at the very end of the Bible, which is, no man has seen God at any time.
Yeah. So I think the thing, too, that we do is we're, like them, using our reasoning as the guide to what is right and what is wrong and what's possible and not possible. So we're putting God in time and space as well. He can only behave, and things have to happen the same way.
Does it happen in our universe?
Yeah, in our universe for him. So we don't give enough magnitude to God.
Our God is not big enough.
Yeah.
Well, the God of the Old Testament is plainly filling heaven and earth, as Solomon says and Jeremiah says. So what's the problem with God being in one place and another place at the same time? Well, that's one issue we have to deal with. The other one is just plain unbelief. We can't figure out how God can do this, so he can't do it.
Yeah.
You see that here. We remarked upon it in the last chapter, when even after God reiterates the promise and says, no, it's not through Ishmael. It's through Sarah's son, who's not been born yet.
And again, that's reasoning. And that's reasonable. He's right here. Why not use him? That would be the way we would reason.
And we made the point that, okay, at least in Abraham's case, it seems to be joy that, yes, Sarah is going to have a son, mixed with some degree of unbelief. But plainly here, Sarah is unbelieving.
Yeah.
And then she denies.
She lies. I mean, it says it right in the text that she lied. I did not laugh. But she did laugh. And I think the other thing that, like you said, we always have our go-to, which is in a whole nother period of time. And we use that as our go-to. Well, they didn't have that here.
Didn't have John?
Yeah, they didn't have John. So for them, they're just trying to be practical. I think it seems impossible to them
that a woman this age will have a child, and he tells you when it will be. It will be next year. So this person sitting in front of you not only knows when this will happen.
Knows, and it says she laughed to herself and thought. He knows what she's thinking. Well, isn't that an attribute of God?
Yeah.
That she knows, that God knows what you think. You don't even have to speak it, and he knows. So that's something that we're ignoring.
We, like Rashi and the rabbis, have to reason away what God plainly says. And I think the reason is because we can't, as rational creatures, reasoning creatures, deal with paradox. We don't deal with it very easily anyway.
Yeah.
So how can God be both here and there?
Yeah.
How can he be both invisible, that is, we can't see him in his God nature, and also visible?
So their answer is that, well, it's an angel. But how does an angel have the attributes of God? And how does an angel, if God is trying to, if this book is a revelation of God, it's a means of revealing God to us, why doesn't the angel say, well, I'm a representative of God here?
Mm-hmm.
No, he doesn't. He speaks as if he's God, and he knows things that only God would know.
Now, Rashi relates this supposed angel to the one in chapter 16 who revealed himself to Hagar at the birth of Ishmael. Well, there he's called the angel of Yahweh. I believe that that's who is here, the angel of Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
But he looks like a man.
Yeah. And if you want to take a text from the Pentateuch, you've got the story of Moses who asked to see God. And you think, well, no man can, and that is the explanation that's given to him. No man can see me
and live.
Mm-hmm. But I will show you my back. Well, I mean, that last part to me is like, okay, wait, how does that work? You're saying you can't see, but I'm going to show you something anyways.
You can't see my face, but you can see my back. Isn't that seeing God?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are all things that we'd have to come up with some kind of an explanation for as witnesses.
But again, we're letting reason override revelation, because the text says this. Rashi and we as Jehovah's Witnesses have to reason it away.
Yeah.
Here's what Leupold has to say about some of this. H.C. Leupold was a great Lutheran conservative commentator of the last generation. He says, "It is Yahweh, the faithful covenant God, who is concerned about the matter of having the child of promise come in due season to believing parents." And I think his comment is based upon the fact that she doesn't yet believe, but a year from now she'll believe.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is part of the faithful care of Yahweh for the covenant people that leads him to resort to acts of retributive and punitive justice in order to clear the path for the normal development of his people. He seems to be referring there to what's going to happen later in this chapter, when the two angels go down to Sodom.
Yeah.
And Griffith Thomas?
Griffith Thomas said, Sarah received this message with utter astonishment of unbelief. She could not credit the possibility of it. This is only one out of several indications in the course of the story that Sarah's spiritual kinship with Abraham was not very close, and that she had never really risen with him to his clear faith in God.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah is not a woman of strong faith here, obviously.
Yeah. So
to which
everyone has their personal journeys, right? So
yeah.
God is working though.
God's working with her,
making her have faith, have strong faith by the time Isaac is born.
Leupold says about that, imagine the astounding nature of this revelation to Sarah. Her secret thoughts have been correctly read. The very motive she had referred to, namely, that she had grown old, is also displayed to her. This attitude is rebuked by Yahweh as being the equivalent of saying that something is too difficult for Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
Is anything too difficult for Yahweh? Some Bibles say impossible for, or too wonderful for.
Too hard, mine said. Mm-hmm.
And also John Calvin, I think, has a very interesting angle on this. The censure also shows that the laughter of Sarah was joined with incredulity, for there is no little weight in this sentence, can anything be wonderful with God? But the angel chid Sarah. Notice he says angel. So Calvin may have agreed with other points of view about this that we have abandoned. The angel chid Sarah because she limited the power of God within the bounds of her own sense. An antithesis is therefore implied between the immense power of God and the contracted measure which Sarah imagined to herself through her carnal reason. I love that phrase, carnal reason. So we don't as witnesses, of course, distinguish between reason and revelation. If we, I don't think we think about it, first of all, but we always give preference to reason over revelation. Whereas reason is a natural gift given to all of us. Revelation is supernatural. So obviously we should give precedence to it. And we have a couple of links.
We're going to link to a video called Reason versus Revelation, the Epistemology of Ecclesiastes, and a playlist. We'll link to the playlist, What JW.org is Not Telling You.
See you next time.